Welcome to Own It, Your Business and Your Life with Nicola and Judith Morgan. In this podcast, we're going to cover everything you need to embrace to become a successful entrepreneur, marketing, money, and much, much more. How to create a business doing just what you love. How to own it, your business and your life. This one will be fast, funny, feisty, and very lively. So sit back and enjoy the show. Morning.
Hello, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Good.
How's your week been?
As you probably know, our hot weather has continued. We're in the second week of it.
How much?
And when you came through then, I was just looking at my app and I see that it predicts temperatures in the high 20s, 28, 29, 27, 25, 24, all the way up until Wednesday the 18th, which is 5 from 18, 2 weeks, another 2 weeks of it at least.
Wow, that's marvellous, isn't it, you lot?
Well, it's amazing, yes. And people are making comparisons with the last one, which was 1975, which I can remember.
No, 76, and it wasn't.
Yeah, we're running out of water. We can't run hoses. It's all panic, and everything's on fire. You've probably noticed that as well, have you?
No, not really. No.
Oh no. Well,
at all.
Manchester is on fire. They've had a massive fire outside of Manchester. They've been unable to control for weeks already, actually. And I noticed somewhere else was burning. Anyway, hot weather has continued.
Yeah.
My hostess went away for a few days, so I did lots of tidying and laundry and cleaning, and I got cleaners in to blitz the bathroom. And while she was away, our neighbours brought round 2 enormous boxes of Maltesers, one each. I mean, the biggest box of Maltesers you've ever seen. No, not a low-carb gift.
Free house, though.
What?
Isn't it a carb-free house?
Well, I said to the lady that brought them, we can't eat these, but because we're on low carb. But thanks very much, and snatched them off her, obviously. And I said, and they are Emma's favourite, which Emma says she had already told the lady, but the lady professed she didn't know. But anyway, they brought them round because they've been building a conservatory, and it was a thank you for putting up with the noise of that, which frankly was minimal, and I think considerate in the extreme. You'll remember I reported only fairly recently that the man Colin came round with a business card on the first day and said, if there's any problems, let me know. And that just seems... It's odd, isn't it? When you come out the other side of a sort of drama, it feels, it wasn't really all that much of a drama. It's when you're in it and living in it, isn't it? It's a funny thing.
Yes.
And the most exciting news of the week, which is an inconclusive cliffhanger at the moment, is that on Monday, a friend contacted me. I don't know if you remember the lady I went to visit on the first day I moved in here and I had to go grubby because I hadn't had a shower.
Yeah.
She contacted me and said a friend of hers is looking for somebody who will come with a very strong personal recommendation from a long-term friend. And she's offering a 3-year paid house sit.
No.
And I said, yes, please put me forward. She's talking to the person tomorrow, so I shall know perhaps by the next time we speak. But the wonderful upside is that the woman is going to be away from home for 3 years, doing something wonderful on behalf of women and girls. And it would be so wonderful to get the opportunity to play my part in looking after her home and her little dog so that she can go forth and do that work for womankind. It wouldn't start till October, but the project that's going to take her away from her home. She's quite a famous person. I'll tell you about her if and when I get the job. But she's a famous person. There's a lot of synergy in our lives. She has done coaching, although that's not her main thing. She has been, like a single woman, been buffeted by the outrageous slings and arrows of whatever it is, the Shakespearean quotes.
Pension,
yeah. I mean, she's had some awful. She's younger than me, so she hasn't had the pension thing yet. But she's had. I can see from her Wikipedia entry, she's had a lot of things happen to her that are similar to the things that have happened to me. So I think we'll have a lot in common, even though she's a tiny person and as physically fit as it's possible to be. But anyway, 3 years, the continuity would be wonderful because it's the uncertainty that's quite draining, as our nomads know all too well.
Yeah. What kind of little dog?
I don't know yet. I don't know anything. My friend is speaking to the woman tomorrow. I don't know anything yet.
Oh, well.
All I've seen is a screen grab of the friend appealing to her friends to find somebody. And it said, even if it was just the first few months or the first year, but actually, I think if she was going, if it were me and I was going away from home for 3 years and leaving my dog, she's taking her daughter with her, who's quite grown up. But I think I would want somebody to say, 3 years is a long time and none of us know what's going to happen to us in that time, her or her daughter or the dog or me. But, if I took that on, I would take it on for the 3 years, even if I was responsible for finding a replacement should that be necessary.
Yeah. Well, I can't think of anyone that I'd really rather have.
Oh, I'd be brilliant at it. Not only am I totally responsible, but I'm imagining the reason that she wants somebody to look after her home is not just the dog, but sort of administration of sorts, and that's why she wants to pay for it. Make sure the bills are paid and the gardens done. Who knows? I don't know yet, but I'll know. I might know more, and when it happens, I'll let you know. But that's that. It's a fun thing to be playing with in my head this week. I've after lights out on the first night, I thought, pooper scooping. I'm not really very good at. I've got no experience of pooper scooping, but everything comes. I mean, in the last 2 weeks here, we've had to make a change, and I never thought I'd adapt to that, and I've adapted to it already. So, life surprises us, doesn't it?
It does, and you learn new skills, and that could just be the
quite. I mean, I love everybody's dogs on Facebook. We had dogs when I was growing up. You didn't have to pooper scoop when I was a child. You just let your dogs do whatever they wanted. So, but anyway,
very funny.
Well, tell me about your week.
Yeah, well, we've had R4 here, as you've probably seen on Facebook.
Yes.
It's going very, very much better than it did last time, mainly because they're in a house 2 doors down.
Yes.
Which has very kindly been lent by a friend. And
who did they both bring with them?
What do you mean?
I haven't seen any of this on Facebook. So who are they? Is it Katura?
No. Phoebe and Nelson and Chloe and Spencer, who were Sarah's.
Oh, I see. Right. Okay. Of course.
And I
thought it was Phoebe and Nelson who'd brought 2 friends with them.
No. They grew up together, and they're very happy to be reunited. And they're having a lovely time together.
Oh, that's lovely. That's a good plan. Yeah.
And we're going to the beach every day. I'm getting everything out of the way by lunchtime and going off down there. Arthur and Linda lent me their car for 2 months, which is fabulous because it's very hot here at this time of year. Yeah. And it's really nice to be able to have, a little drive down to the beach rather than... I don't mind going down, it's coming back that's the issue.
Yes.
Up the hill in the heat. Because it's about 32 to 35 here, so it's quite a lot hotter. Yeah. And we're having a lovely time going out every night for dinner, and that's nice. There's 2 England football matches within that week, so the boys are happy. And... Then we had Steph's surprise party on Monday. As soon as the kids arrived on Sunday, we went out for dinner, and it was Steph's surprise party. And Steph was very surprised.
Why were we surprising Steph?
Because it's her 60th, and she's got a big. She didn't plan her own a big do for herself because she's a very family orientated person, and she didn't think any of her family would be able to get out. So she didn't, and she didn't realise we were organising something. And she's actually organised her own present, which is to hire a house for Christmas for her entire family, big one of those big luxury houses that you can hire out.
Yeah.
And so all of her family are coming to spend Christmas with her, and she just thought, that's my present to myself. So she didn't really have anything planned. We knew that, so we organised something very special for her. And our local party planner lady came around and decorated my garden and my driveway, and it all looked really pretty. And I'll get some photos up for you.
Oh, so it was at your house the surprise dinner?
Yes, I was I was hosting.
Nice. And the planning party woman, she's the one that uses the pink dustbin bags.
Yes, but this time it was a sunflower theme. So we had a sunflower canopy over my little wall garden bit. It was, we had things dangling, cans dangling with candles.
Yeah.
She's just really good at it. I cooked a Jamie Oliver pasta bake because I was put in charge of vegetarian option. I've got no idea why. And our local taverna supplied what they call pork belly, but it's actually pulled pork on the spit. So it's very crispy and crunchy and delicious, and it's been cooked for ages, and it's really nice. And we had buns and salads and things. I did not stop sweating all day. Cooking in this heat is a really bad idea.
I would have had to cook that the day before, I think.
Yeah, well, I should have done really in retrospect, but I had nowhere to keep it. That was the problem. And
you don't have a decent fridge? Oh, I see. It's quite a large quantity of pasta.
Yes, absolutely. There's about 40 people there. So.
Okay.
So, so I thought I'll cook it on the day, which was a bad mistake because my body didn't get a chance to recover from all that oven opening in there.
No, I worked out when I was about 20 that you can't really enjoy a party if you've worked yourself into, oblivion during the day preparing for it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
We'll do that again. But it was a lovely, lovely evening. We had a great time, and that started off the week really good, really good fun. The kids met everybody in one hit. So as they're walking around the village now, people are saying hello to them, which is really nice.
So. Nice. And I didn't understand whether the big house for Christmas is in stupor or somewhere else?
No, it's in England. She's
Okay.
hiring a big house in England, so all
Okay.
of them can go. And it's near where her mother's in a nursing home, so she can
Okay.
come over for lunch and everything.
Brilliant.
Yeah, no, very good. She's a very organised person. Okay, so what has fueled your fire then?
Why don't you go first?
I started a 21-day challenge on Monday.
Yes.
And it's so interesting because this challenge thing, you would think it's an awful lot of work, isn't it? But it isn't actually once you've done it once, because I recorded all the videos for the, there's actually 14 days of videos plus a bonus one. And then the rest of the 30 days was literally spent giving people support last time. And also creating any extra videos that the challenge needed that I hadn't anticipated. And this time it's a 21-day challenge, so it's 14 days of videos and then 1 week of ongoing support. And the idea of the challenge is that it's completely free, but you turn off the videos access after 24 hours or 48 hours. I'm giving people 48 hours this time, which forces people to keep up. It forces them to commit to watching the video when it comes out and doing the little task that the video suggests. And I put the videos on YouTube so I can turn them on and off at will. And then you post them into a Facebook group, a private Facebook group. Everybody joins your mailing list and then they get access to the Facebook group, and then you archive the Facebook group after the challenge is finished. So it's really nice. And first time I had 80 people, but not about 70% of those opened most of the emails. And I think about 20 people were quite active. This time I've got 40 people joined, and it seems very much more active than it was last time. So I think people have, words got around it's a good thing and that they're really committing to do it. So that's really good. But it's all largely automated. All of the Facebook posts were pre-scheduled. So all I have to do is lie on a sunbed and answer questions.
Very, very good.
Yeah.
Explain to me, please, what is the process for archiving a Facebook group?
Yeah, you can just archive a Facebook group, which means.
And what does that mean? You can resuscitate it later?
No, it means you can if you want to, yes. And it also means that people can see the posts, but that nobody else can join or comment. So the existing members can't comment anymore. No,
so it's there, but it's not operable.
Yes.
And if you wanted to reactivate it, you can you?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. That's a good thing. I'd never heard of that before.
No. Well, I just discovered it when I went to delete the last one. And they said, would you like to archive it instead? I said, oh, okay.
Oh, yes, very good. Okay.
Yeah. And so that's that. What about you?
Mary and I are working our way through a coaching type book together. I'm not going to tell you what it's called, but I will at the end when we finished it, which we're thinking could be useful both for ourselves and for our respective clients. I mean, she runs Slimming World groups, and yes. I'm doing the low carb coaching, and it's mostly about addiction.
Oh.
And you start off writing this letter to yourself, dear Judith, it's the 30th of June, you're sitting on, and you write where you are. And we both thought that we would address our respective addiction to sugar, and which, any addiction is a lifelong addiction, even if you think you've cracked it. But before the end of my letter, my letter revealed to me that my issue was something else. And before the end of Marion's letter, her letter revealed to her that her issue was something else. So we were both surprised on day one, which is quite good fun.
Yeah.
It's a process in the book. The book describes a process which I've adapted naturally anyway in my coaching work, but it's reassuring to find a sort of textbook version of it, because it lets you know that your instincts were right. And I'll let you know the outcome of our work and how it impacts my clients' works. Well, I mean, my clients will begin to feel the benefits of it almost immediately, I think. And now and again, I think it's time and the time is right to explore new coaching tools, I saw the book, I shared it on Facebook. Marion said, are you thinking of reading this? I said, I might. And then she said, do you want to work through it together? I said, I might. So we've got a 2-woman Facebook group, and we're working on it every day. So, which is quite a commitment on top of existing commitments in this heat, but we're on it.
Yeah. Did you ever finish Michael Neal's thing?
I think I got to, page 90 or something, didn't I?
Oh, I got to day 57, and I've sort of forgotten about it.
I mean, I finished it to the extent that I did the impossible. I did what I
set out to do.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I will know if I've done the impossible on the 26th of July.
Oh, okay.
So, because my impossible thing was to write a book and get an agent and do all that stuff, and applied for have I told you this before?
You told us, yes, about your Curtis Brown thing.
I've applied for a writing course at Curtis Brown, and I will know if I've got onto it on the 26th of July. And that's a 6-month course starting in September for over the winter, so that'll be a good thing for me to, because I'm finding that I only write, I can't, make myself do it unless there's a deadline. For example,
I think. Well, the very first creative writing course I ever went on, in the first week, I said to the teacher, "What's the most useful thing?" And she said, "The deadline. You've got to come back next Tuesday and read what you've written."
Yeah, absolutely. And I've got to. We're recording tomorrow another 3 sessions of Write Club to Podcast, and I've got to read out some work in progress. And I haven't actually got. Well, I have got some poems, but I haven't got any work in progress on. So that's what I'll be doing when we finish this podcast: is writing a bit of work in progress.
Yep. Okay.
Focus, boundaries.
Marion shared this post in our group, our 2-woman group, but I'd already seen it go past on Facebook, and I thought, I don't need to look at that. I'm all over boundaries, me. And then when she shared it, I thought, I'll have another look. And it's a scrumpled up piece of paper held in somebody's hand, shared by the psychology babes, and it says, "What do boundaries feel like?" And then it lists 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, which I'm going to read out slowly. And then I recognise 2 or 3 in there. In fact, you and I, what we'll do in a minute, we'll say which ones still push our buttons. But I recognise ones in there which push my clients' buttons a lot. Anyway, it is not my job to fix others. It's okay if others get angry. It's okay to say no. It's not my job to take responsibility for others. I don't have to anticipate the needs of others. It is my job to make me happy. Nobody has to agree with me. I have a right to my own feelings. I am enough. Now, funnily enough, although I believe all of those things, I'd never put them in the box marked boundaries, but I can see that they are very much a boundaries type thing. Let me just read them again to myself. It is not my job to fix others. It's okay if others get angry. It's okay to say no. It's not my job to take responsibility. That's the one my clients struggle with, because the trap of responsibility that entrepreneurs suffer. I don't have to anticipate the needs. It's my job to make me happy. Nobody has to agree with me. Nobody has to agree with me. That's one of the ones that you and I have issues with quite often. It doesn't matter if we have different viewpoints. It makes the podcast more interesting. I have a right to my own feelings. I don't know which one of those is making me go, ooh, the most today, but I think they're all valuable to consider. And you said you had a story you wanted
Well, I've got 2, actually.
Go.
The kids have been here, and the kids, just for the benefit of the listener, are now 23 and 20, respectively. And I have quite a lot of, I love seeing them, but we're having quite a lot of little conversations about things where I'm trying to either be responsible for them or anticipate their needs or make them feel more comfortable or whatever. And they're resisting and saying that it's a control freak thing. And it isn't. It's just, I think it's a mummy thing. And I was going
to say, I think that surely goes with the territory of being a mum, isn't it?
It does, yes. But they're in the sort of, we haven't had this. They've been really quite well-behaved teenagers, psychologically speaking. We had a bit of, Phoebe was a bit stroppy at 12, but we really generally have got on very well.
So you did have a bit of this last time they came to stay.
We did, yes, exactly. Because last time it was very much, they were in my house,
yes,
and I was driving them around. They reverted immediately to people who lay on sofas and waited to be waited on hand and foot.
Yep.
This time, because they're all together and they're all working and they've all got their own money and they've all paid for themselves to come, it's all very different, and I am very aware that they're much more grown up this time.
Yeah.
But we did have a thing last night, and it made me feel really quite bad. And I'm working out which ones of these. It's okay if others get angry. It's my job to make me happy. Nobody has to agree with me. So the thing is, okay, they swear a lot. All of them, kids. They just do. They use the F-bomb a lot. And I'm not talking about occasionally in a conversation. I'm talking about like every sentence. And it really starts to get to me last night because I don't mind swearing. I listen to Gary Vaynerchuk. He swears all the time. But when I'm in a small Greek fishing village, surrounded by people who are older and quieter and who aren't swearing, it became very apparent that we were the loudest, most foul-mouthed table there. And I thought, I really don't like this. So I said, look,
Sorry, what didn't you like?
I didn't like the feeling that people were looking at my gorgeous children and thinking, what a bunch of louts, because they're swearing all the time.
Yeah.
And so I said, look, guys, this is really starting to embarrass me. And I know I keep saying language darlings when it gets a bit bad, but actually it's really starting to make me feel bad, because this is where I live. And these people around me, you know, are looking at me. I said, I can't work out.
And it's certainly all right, isn't it, to ask people, particularly people you love and who love you, to moderate their behaviour if their behaviour is causing you difficulty.
Yes, and they totally disagreed with me. They said they can do what they like, and you know, that it's not their problem if old people around them don't like what, you know. They weren't being particularly loud. I mean, I'm probably over exaggerating here, and I think we're all a bit sensitive because we had 80 people from Blackpool here 2 weeks ago, and they were very loud, very tattooed, very sweary, very pissed, and it was generally not very stupid. You know what I mean? So I don't know if I'm projecting embarrassment on what I imagine. Anyway, so I did try to make myself happy by saying something that felt quite confrontational for me. And, you know, I don't like having those conversations at all.
Yes.
And so this was an interesting one, because this brings up, I have a right to my own feelings. Nobody has to agree with me. It's my job to make me happy. And I said, well, I'm just going to get up and walk away if you don't stop, because I really am feeling very uncomfortable now, and I'm just going to go home.
Yeah.
And, you know, those who wish to can come with me, because I'm the only one who, well, Sarah won't drive out here. She could drive the car, but she won't. So, you know, I feel like I'm the taxi service, and that I was spoiling the evening by saying, I don't want to stay here if you're going to carry on doing this. And then they went off. Well, they went off for a walk to go and have a look at the ice cream shop, and they came back and apologised.
Oh, good. But
by that time, I was so wound up and upset, I just wanted to go home and go to bed.
And was everybody hot? Do you think that makes it worse as well?
No, it wasn't particularly hot at that time.
Okay.
It's just, you know, anyway, so yes, it's really interesting, because I am, and Sarah said, how good is it that we can all sit and talk about this openly?
Quite.
Well, I didn't feel good. I felt terrible.
Oh.
Felt like I hated them all, and I wanted them all to go home. That's how I felt.
What, even after it had been spoken about openly and they'd come back and apologised?
We hadn't resolved anything.
Well, they'd apologised.
Yes, but it doesn't mean they're going to change their behaviour, does it?
Well, you don't know yet, do you? You don't know yet.
No, that's true. Anyway, so this is all very uncomfortable territory for me entirely.
Yeah, and could you put your finger on what it is that's... It's interesting, because we've had a couple of examples of it here, where I'm living in quite a small space, quite cheek by jowl with my friend, and sharing a bathroom, which I cleaned. I asked her permission to clean it. And I knew I wasn't going to clean it myself, so I got two ladies in, and I decided to do it when she was away. And I'd already explained that I was going to get them to take everything out of the bathroom, clean all of the things they'd taken out and put them back in. And earlier in the week, I heard her taking out her things herself. And when I said, what on earth are you doing? I've just paid for two ladies to come and do that next Monday. She said, oh, I don't want people touching my things. And I got a bit cross. And then I relented, because it's like, well, that's her entitlement, isn't it? That's her right. It's her home. I did say to her, I did ask for permission. She didn't say that when we were having the conversation about it. And I felt sad that I couldn't give her the whole gift. I could only give her the partial gift. But after she came back and enjoyed the clean bathroom, she said to me, thank you for doing that. And something else had happened where I'd said to her, oh, I know, she'd done something, and I'd gone and said to her, you are absolutely my hero for this thing you're doing. What we do is, what we're learning to do, her and I, is say the good things and the bad things out loud and be okay with it.
Mm.
It's not easy, but I know that she said thank you to me on Monday night because I'd said to her last week the thing about being my hero. You know, you got to go first when you want people to behave in ways that match your values.
Yeah, and I think the problem was we all grew up in the 50s and 60s when children were very much had to behave as the parents wanted, and they weren't really encouraged to develop their own needs. I mean, we talk about this quite a lot. My mother just never, you know, she basically, if she said it was too cold to go out without a coat, you went out with a coat on. You know, there was no ever any discussion about what you wanted, what you needed, and we weren't allowed to express any emotion, no anger, no sadness, nothing.
Yeah,
you know, you had to be grateful all the time and happy, or you were being ungrateful, basically.
Yeah.
So I don't think we had much opportunity to develop our boundaries and say, no, I don't want to do that, or I don't feel like, that makes me mad, or that makes me sad, or whatever.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. And I don't think anybody's taught the language, I don't want to do that. It's quite a calm sentence, actually.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when I met Steve for the first time, I was really shocked, because I used to say things like, oh, well, do you want to come over to my sister's for dinner? And he used to say, no, thank you.
Yeah.
And I was like, I was really shocked.
Yeah, yeah. And actually, that's better. Well, that's better than boyfriends that say yes and then don't turn up because they don't want to.
I know, or ones that turn up and behave badly because they didn't want to be there in the first place.
Yeah.
I know. But it was a real shock that he would never do anything that he didn't want to do. And I learned to love him, because it meant that when he did do things, he really wanted to. Yeah. But it was a real shock, because there are certain ways that we're expected to behave in certain situations. And when people don't do that... I don't think it's as general as you're saying. What do you mean? I don't think everybody expects to have to behave in certain ways in certain... It's not as general as you're saying. You're suggesting everybody, but it's not everybody. It's some people. Well, that's black and white thinking, isn't it? Which is an interesting thing when it comes onto addictions, because... I think the thing about society, and this week, normally you're a society of 2, we're a society of 2, this week you're a society of 6. And this is something that happens in the cash flow game as well. You can only get away with behaviour that the society, however big or small, allows. Yes. And if members of the micro society are not happy with behaviours of the other, they're perfectly entitled to ask for their needs to be met, and for the other people to have an opportunity to go off and think about it and come back and apologise and then behave differently. And if they can't keep it up, I mean, obviously a holiday is different, but if it was for life, different alternative arrangements might have to be made. Yeah. And I mean, I'm actually a micro society of 1 most of the time. It's only with Sarah and I getting to the point now. Well, I think that gives us... I've been a micro society of 1 most of my adult life, and I think that gives us a completely different, a skewed perspective. Most people have to negotiate these things most of the time. Yes, that's true, because they're in a couple, aren't they? Yeah, at least a couple of some kind. Yes. Yeah. It makes me weird. It makes me wonder if I could ever live with anyone ever again. Well, I think that's why my nomading's been quite useful, actually, because two of the things that my friend here has enabled me to realise is they're mostly about me. I'm learning about me. So when she behaves in a certain way, I realise, oh, I always do that. So, for instance, she's very hard to give a present to. And it's the fact that she is that made me realise how hard I am to give a present to. I don't want your presents, thanks very much. I like to buy my own things. I like to choose my own things. I'm very particular. I don't want your knockoff equivalent or whatever it is. And that feels bad when somebody says no to your present, because you're trying to give somebody a kind thing. And if they throw it back in your face, it's not a nice feeling. And I'm just like that. And I learnt about my own behaviour from her throwing 2 gifts back in my face. Yeah. I mean, that's emotive language. She didn't. She just said no thanks. Yeah. I've realised the one thing that really presses my hot buttons is the last one. I have a right to my own feelings. I get really, really incendiary when people say to me, you're overreacting. No, I'm not overreacting. I'm just reacting. And I'm just saying what I feel. And I have a right to my own feelings. And I've had to learn that one, really, because the minute people... It is quite a useful expression to be able to use, isn't it? I have a right to my own feelings. Yes. This is how I feel. This is how I feel. We must never put in that, this is how you make me feel. This is how I feel. What's really good is that you felt that and said it. Because think of all the years we didn't. We swallowed it down. We drank it down. We ate it down. We didn't say it because we thought people would leave us or whatever it was. You said it. Yeah. Yes, I did. But now they're all really grumpy with me. Yeah, well, I was grumpy with my friend when she said no, when she did the cleaning thing. But you get over it because you have a chance to go away and think, what does this mean? What does this mean for me? What does it tell me about her or them or my mum? You're grumpy while you're processing. Yeah. Yeah. So how can we swing this round just briefly to a business situation? Well, I think that one about responsibility. If you've made, it's a bit like the thing I told you about the 3-year house sit. What happens if in the 3-year house sit, the dog dies or I change my mind? Things happen in life. Think changes happen in life. What happens if her 3-year project is cut short and she's made a 3-year commitment to me? It's not her responsibility or mine for what happens and how we, the selfless thing that you do as an employer, which is I can't give it up because people depend on me now or something. What else? I don't have to anticipate the needs of others. I think as an employer in the early days,
I let the tail wag the dog. So I paid them first and I let them complain about the office equipment. And I got in first and left last and got paid last. And I just felt that I hated them for that. And they hadn't done it. I'd done it to myself before I worked out that they didn't have to work here. My money wasn't good enough for them. My office equipment wasn't good enough for them. You know,
they could go elsewhere.
Absolutely. Yes. They could go forth and multiply.
Yeah.
I think knowing these things is one thing. Being able to put them into practice in our lives, quite another. And that's why I think I let this go past me the first time. And then when Marion shared it, I thought, oh, it is worth visiting these again. I think it is okay if others get angry. I mean, none of us want anger in our lives, but if it's theirs and it stays with them, they can do what they like, can't they?
Yes.
So if you can hear and watch and observe other people getting angry but not be infected by it and don't think it's targeted at you.
Yes, I might type these out and put them on my screensaver.
Well, you could probably print this out, can't you? From this picture. You just click this picture. Oh,
sorry,
okay.
Too messy. It's all crumpled. I
quite like that. I quite like that because it's a more human reminder in a funny sort of way. You need your reminders to be pristine.
Well, I really couldn't look at a crumpled bit of paper all day.
Oh, okay. Okay.
It would just annoy me. I'd want to smooth it out.
Okay.
Call me OCD if you like.
You're OCD.
I am. You're right. not only about some things though.
Oh, okay.
Oh my God. So
I don't think it has to come round to a business thing. This is your business and your life. And if we are plagued in our lives with these issues, we're going to be plagued with these issues in our business as well.
That's very true. There is no boundaries on that one.
No.
Good stuff. Okay, so what is your word of the week then?
Oh, I don't know. I've got to go back to my notes. My word of the week is reading. I haven't felt able to do very much of it since I moved to Somerset, and I've no idea why, but Marion tricked me into getting back into it by persuading me to work through this book with her. I've also spent 7 days on Facebook enjoying that game where you share book covers and tag your friends to join in, and that gives rise to all sorts of reminders and recommendations. So my word of the week is reading. What about you?
Well, I've got to read Hard Times by Next Tuesday by Charles Dickens.
Word.
And I'm not looking forward to it at all.
Okay.
So, but I never look forward to these book club readings, and I really enjoyed the last one.
They often turn out to be surprises, don't they?
Yeah, the last one was really good. It was, I can't even remember what it was called now. No, it was about a blind girl living in France in the German occupation. Really enjoyed it. Thomas something Durr. Anyway, I will look it up. My word of the week is obviously family, because I'm surrounded by them this week, and they'll all be gone next week, and it will feel very weird.
Yeah. It's 2 weeks all told, is it?
No, it was. Sarah's been here for 2 months, and she's going home on the 12th.
Oh, she's going home with them, but the kids are with you for how long?
Just a week.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was 10 days last time. We decided that was a little bit too long because, they get bored of lying on the beach every day.
Also, Stupor isn't very far. They can come for another week later if they want to.
Exactly.
Would you have all 4 of them together again, or do you think that's too much?
It was definitely better, although I did go through agonies of anxiety about them staying in someone else's house that, was a friend of mine. And I sort of felt like I should move out and live in there. Rather than put them in there. And I went through, Sarah was exasperated beyond belief with me, but it was a bit, I don't know why I worked myself up into such a state. I really do. And then I suddenly realised that there wasn't any internet down there, so there was no way I could go down there. Yeah. But they were quite happy to be without internet for a week because they've got data,
Yes. And they're on holiday.
Here, and it's making them sleep a lot better, but all of them are saying that.
Yes, good.
Okay, project updates. I have none.
Oh, I've got one. I've decided not to write a second book in 2018 and not in August at least because I need a breather. And as you know, generally I have most Augusts off, but I didn't last year because I was writing Your Biz Your Way. And I very much felt the loss of that time to recharge. At Christmas, I work up until, the Friday before and then have 2 weeks off. But it's not the same as having a gorgeous summer month off. And I still feel like I'm catching up from not having had that in 2017. So I'm going to see if I can organise most of that time off this year as R&R instead of writing another book. And the time will come when it's right to do that. And I shall just know, like I did last time.
Yeah. I don't feel that you've, milked this one for all it's worth yet. I think it still feels quite new to me. Your book?
Well, it's nearly a year old.
I know.
It wasn't published until the 1st of December, but no. But, I did say I would market it for 3 years, indeed.
Yeah.
But I also thought that I would want to keep up the writing, and I'm surprised that I don't yet. Perhaps because the marketing has been so intensive. Actually.
Yeah, you've done lots of it in lots of different media.
Yes,
I've been very impressed.
And while we're talking about having August off, when we lost a recording of last week's episode, it was the one in which we warned the listener that we wouldn't be podcasting during August.
Ah, right, okay.
So we need to we need to warn them again that we're not podcasting in August, and I'm not standing down and letting Nicola interview 5 guests. We're taking a month off. Woohoo!
Yeah.
So our last show recorded in July will go out on the 3rd of August, and there'll be nothing until the 3rd or possibly the 10th of September. Just depends on whether we record 2 shows when we get back together, which we probably will, knowing us. Plus, after a month off, there'll be lots to talk about. So we could probably, like we have this week, do 2 shows to get us back on track, couldn't we?
Yeah, and I'm also having a break from Right Club. We're having a break from Right Club, the podcast, as well. So I've got
yourself, Nicola, will you?
I know. I'll have an extra 6 hours a week, and I'm totally going to just go and lie on a sunbed and read and read and read and read and read.
Yeah. And of course, if you hear on the 27th, you've got that course. There might be coursework to do or something, might there?
Not till September, no.
Okay.
No, but I will probably try and do some writing during the. So I'm taking August off for the first time in my life.
Oh my God, you're having a life again.
I know.
The stupefactor.
Yes, absolutely. The heat helps. Okay. Who or what's impressed this week?
I've got 3, a small one and 2 bigger ones. Do you want to go first, or how are you feeling?
Well, remember Rich Sheffrin? My old hero.
Do I remember Rich Sheffrin? As if I could forget him. You've only said his name to me about 1 million times since I've known you.
I know. Well, he's apparently been in retirement. He has been very quiet, and he's come out of retirement. And he's got a new video you can watch. And if people who like to read, there's a transcription of it. And he's talking about why in this day and age, when we've got all the tools that should be making life easier, why are not more people succeeding online? Because it's just a massive confusion, which is sort of an evolvement of his Internet Marketing Manifesto, if you remember, with that diagram with all the the flow chart about why we're doing everything ourselves and why aren't we building teams and why aren't we doing things in a proper grown-up business way, which swept the internet in 2006, I think it was. So you can find that at facebook.com/Internet Business Talk, which is one of his, which is his main sort of Rich Sheffrin business page, but for some reason it's called Internet Business Talk. And I'm halfway through it, and it's really very good. So if you like Rich Sheffrin, you'll love this.
Okay. Shall I do my 3?
Yes, please.
I've ever so slightly started to get into the football. Not enough to watch it entirely, but the night before last was a penalty shootout, which England won, which is as rare as hen's teeth. We're through to the quarterfinals, which is quite historic. We traditionally fail at penalty shootouts, you might know. I'm sure your kids...
I do know, because we were sitting in Five Brothers watching.
Yeah. So it's good to be on the winning side. Did you know that when your nation's football team does well, there are many different upsides beyond football? So the gross domestic product increases, the economy does well, the stock market does well. These are all confidence based, and anything which makes us feel good about ourselves has a knock-on effect on our spending and investing. Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
So, because football is like, it's not mine, but it's every man's sport. So it affects more people than anything else. So, you can't say the same of Wimbledon, for instance, because it's for posh people. But by the time this airs, I wonder if we'll have made it through. And as you say, the kids, there's 2 more matches while the kids are with you. 2 more matches.
Yeah.
Right? When do they go back?
They go back on Sunday. So we've got the Saturday night match to watch. And the Greeks are all rooting for England.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yes. Yeah. They're all rooting for who, the Greeks?
For England.
Oh, are they? Good. Okay.
Yeah. Well, not because we're providing, a lot of cash into their economy.
Quite. And did they get into it at all, the Greeks?
Yes. Yeah.
They got knocked out, did they?
Yeah, no, they weren't. They haven't been in it, so they've been supporting England.
Oh, I see. Oh, that's good of them. Okay.
Yeah.
I bet they support every nationality in town, don't they? Just as it suits.
Not so much.
Okay.
Yeah, not so much.
Anyway, my 2 bigger and most important ones are that the National Health Service is 70 years old today, the 5th of July 2018. Still something to be proud of, even though it's been decimated. But even more importantly, I don't know if you saw this, I hoped you did, Christina, who was our guest here a few weeks back and talked about social entrepreneurship and volunteering. Do you remember?
Yes.
She and her French wife have achieved a fantastic result. They couldn't live legally in Bulgaria together because same-sex marriage isn't recognised or wasn't recognised there. So they took it to the highest court in Bulgaria, which is in Sofia, and that court has found in their favour, setting a precedent so that they and every other same-sex couple has the right to reside there.
Oh, well, that's wonderful, isn't it?
It is wonderful. They've been precedent setters on behalf of the LGBT community.
That's astonishing.
I know. Forget the football. They've done brilliant.
Well, I mean, that is really changing people's lives.
Quite.
That would be
and they've been featured. You must go and look at her page, Christina without an H, Christina Palmer, Palma, on Facebook, because they've been featured on every news channel in the world.
Oh my God, that's amazing!
In hundreds of different languages.
We must be getting some spin-off podcast downloads on that.
Well, I don't think so, but it's in French because Mariama is French. It's in Australia because Christine is Australia. It's in Bulgaria because that's where they live. It's in it's been picked up. Obviously, it's a very newsworthy story, and they're the two trailblazers.
Lovely. What a lovely upbeat end.
Yeah, marvellous. Okay.
So
I'll see you next week. Yeah. Okay. Bye.
How do they do it? Not a care and suffering. Wanna step into their world. Who holds the key?
You've been listening to Nicola Cairncross and Judith Morgan. The podcast is called Own It, Your Business and Your Life. Do come and visit us at ownitthepodcast.com. We love to hear your feedback. You can find out more about Judith and visit her on her website at judithmorgan.com, and you can find Nicola at nicolacairncross.com.